Welcome back to the White Gray Black Weekly Manga Podcast. This week we're going to talk about the brand new series on Manga Plus called Astral Baby. Not Astro Boy and not Earthchild, thank God, but something more and maybe a little bit better. And of course, it is time again for our quarterly One Piece talk. We are diving into chapter 1106 with the return of some very, very old friends. All that, manga news, and more coming right up. Thanks again for joining us here on the White Gray Black Weekly Manga Podcast. This is the podcast where we talk about all of your favorite ongoing Japanese manga. My name is Bruce. I am the proprietor of the White Gray Black YouTube channel. And with me again this week, the Bragi to my Dory is Gautam.
Hello, hello. Let's continue our never-ending battle.
We'll get to that in a bit. That's the we're skipping
our never-ending podcast.
Yeah, we're skipping all the way to the end of the second thing we're talking about. Let's jump into Astral Baby Chapter 1. So this comes to us from an author called Shiro Moria, who also did a series called Soloist in a Cage, which I heard people talking about. I had not read. I don't know if you're familiar with Soloist in a Cage at all, Gautam.
Oh, I'm not. I actually got that confused with Medalist.
Okay, not
no,
Medalist.
I'm not familiar.
No. Medalist is amazing, but this is also pretty good. What are your first impressions of Astro Baby? Strange name.
I loved it. I think it's a bad name. But I loved the first chapter. I actually, before we talk about it, I actually worry about names like this because they're like hard to recommend to people with word of mouth. Because no one wants to like. It's like me going to a coworker and saying, "Hey, watch Boss Baby."
Well, and this also, and this is the West's fault for translating Tetsuan Adams' name into Astro Boy, but this is like Astro Baby. Yeah, so this is a prequel to Astro Boy, Astro Baby, and like no, it's not. This is a really interesting sort of like alt history sci-fi kind of thing that takes place in fake Russia, is by my best guess. Maybe the far north Japan.
Alt history Russia.
Like I think it's like alt history sci-fi Russia is definitely the vibes I was getting from it. But yeah, let's jump in and talk about it. So I mean, we're introduced to Billy Boy, who's this kid with a snotty nose who watches. I didn't put those in there because I thought they were a little violent. I didn't want to have YouTube censor me. But he essentially witnesses a guy cannibalizing another man in the very opening pages. And then
I think his wife, right? He ate his wife.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, the boy's wife? He's like 10. But no, you're right.
No, yeah.
Yeah, it's something like that, yeah. But he witnesses, and he gets picked up by the police, and they kind of like, oh, you're the only kid who saw this again. Like, the last time you're buzzing with crackpot theories, like he says.
I thought, like, the boy is, even though he's, like, snotty as hell, like, literally, the snot coming out of his nose all the time. He's very cute. I think like the little kids in this are drawn very much like little kids. I like his box of toys too.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the art in this is just fantastic all around. The character designs are sort of like more on the realism side than the anime side, or kind of maybe trending towards realism side, but like still really good art.
It's weird.
Good designs.
Okay, yeah. So I'm glad you brought up the art. The art is weird.
It is weird
for me.
It kind of bounces around styles a couple times, which is interesting.
Yeah, exactly. It bounces around styles, and some of them don't work. But more often than not, I really like the art. So it's interesting. It's a little inconsistent, but it's I think overall like really good start.
Yeah, like
even art wise.
Like even on this page here, like the boy is kind of drawn in very much as kind of a standard modern manga style, and then the guy at the bottom, this policeman at the bottom, is drawn in a much older kind of 1960s 70s manga style with a little bit more kind of. A little bit more realistic proportions, but like
and we didn't see the cannibalism scene.
Yeah,
in the cannibalism scene, it was drawn like very realistically. Mm-hmm. Like
for sure. I think we see that again later on. We see that when stuff gets kind of real and violent, it gets a little bit more realistic stylized, which I think is kind of a cool swap. But yeah, we were introduced to this older girl that Billy has a crush on, who's I don't remember her name, but Eleanor, yeah. And they kind of know each other from childhood, we learn later, and he's kind of got this childhood crush on her through the whole thing. But yeah, those are kind of our lead characters for this chapter 1 for sure. we get a really good, I really like this time jump skip here, because it's not like the expression has changed, but the artist has captured the same sort of eyes and facial structure to tell us that like it's the same. Like this is the same kid grown up, right? This is like what 6 or 7 years later. Yeah, so he's like 18 or something now. So
I like that too, and I initially assumed that he'd be a hyper serious character from just this page, but no, he's actually really interesting. He's nuanced.
Yeah, I really liked
kind of a goofy guy still.
Yeah, still really goofy, still really kind of eager, a little bit of an idiot, which is always a good, always kind of a good angle here. But we see him, we see him kind of join the army here and being redeployed back to his hometown, which we kind of learn about this thing called like Cooper, the cannibal disease, which is this sort of alien thing.
Here's the art. Dr. Light over here, Dr. Light looking motherfucker. Looks like a cartoon. I like it though, even though it's like a weird art shift. I dig it.
And I think I got maybe it's in there somewhere. Yeah, there it is. But there was this. I mean, when they're talking about sort of like they talk about this Cooper disease and like how it's transmitted and the cannibalism, and it's taken over this town, and they've built a defensive wall, and Billy's part of the army who's going to go up there and be part of an elimination force or a safety force. I don't think it's really specified exactly, but
I think it's like a elimination force, because they said that the disease can't be cured, and so I assume it's just to kill the cannibals.
Yeah, they're there to kill the alien,
eliminate the disease.
Whatever it is.
This panel is showing that the disease is not communicable by normal means. It's not like air-based, like you can't just spread the infection like that.
Not COVID.
Not COVID. It's a hilarious fucking panel though, because it shows this hot lady like coughing into this guy's mouth.
Like drops flying out of her mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, it's disgusting. And the guy is just like giving a thumbs up with his mouth open, receiving the cough, the cough bacteria. And it's just bizarre and hilarious.
And then she's just like consuming his lips in the second one.
Yeah.
It reminds me of like Fallout style, where it's like back to that kind of 1920s, 40s, like airplane art style. But yeah, so that's kind of the premise. But we see Billy kind of wandering around his town. After he gets there, he runs into Ellie again, and he tells when his commanding officer asks him like why did you join the army? And he's like, I did it for love. And he gets like beat up and bullied for it. And I was like, did you really do it for love? And he's like, yes. He's like, the woman I love is having a baby, and I'm going back to help her. And they're like, oh shit, like you got a girl pregnant. He's like, no, it is not my child. It's like, okay, all right. So
yeah, like. I think the takeaway is that he is incredibly earnest and honest, and he is doing it for love.
Yeah, he really does.
100%.
Like as we will see, I think in a couple of pages. But he runs into her while he's wandering around town. She lays out like the world building just in the dialogue here. I think is really interesting, because they do kind of do a little bit of telling about like, here's the Cooper disease, blah, blah, blah. We think it came from meteorites that crashed in this town. We've blocked it off. And then when she gets there, she's like rabid about like, why did you like come back? Like you got out. Like they aren't letting us, if you live here in this town, they're not letting us out. And you came back even though you're from here. And she's pretty like fervent about that. She's like, you were safe. You could have been safe. Like you should have stayed safe. But
they also foreshadow this like disease spreading. In the top left panel, where she says some Coopers apparently left town before chaos died down, but they were handled seemingly.
Yeah, and he says the very like foreshadowing, like, yep, you've got it right. No Coopers out there. Nuh-uh. Like, okay, dude. Like, obviously, that's not true. But
and even Dr. Light, like before, said this is a very contained disease. You just go and kill them, and this disease will be gone by your lifetime, right? It's like all foreshadowing before a disaster, right?
Yeah. I definitely think that we're not going to be trapped in this little northern town the whole story. I predict pretty quickly that we're going to get outside, probably to a larger kind of locus.
Eventually, I think,
yeah. But she, takes him home. They talk about stuff. They talk about she does like lab work, trying to figure out like where the Cooper disease came from and what they can do. They're trying to cure it. Which is kind of, the government seems uninterested in a cure. They kind of think, oh, if you just kill them all, then it's, basically non-communicable, doesn't matter. And yeah, we get again some like news foreshadowing here. It's like Cooper extermination counts on the rise. Ministry of Defense considering dispatching additional troops. This is all stuff that I think is going to come back into the story if the story executes itself well. Yeah, and then more world building stuff, like the infectious agent for Cooper disease still hasn't been identified. Everyone's given up on a cure, but she wants still to do the cure. Here's Billy being earnest again, right? He like literally bought a ring and is like, "I loved you, marry me," and she's like, "What the hell?"
I actually, and we cut out a few pages here because we can't.
I'm not going to show you the whole manga. Go read it yourself. It's on Manga Plus. So.
But there's a scene where she is regretting getting pregnant and thought she should have aborted the child because it's like preventing her from doing important scientific work.
Oh, and coming into a world like trapped with alien possession disease.
And
so
I think what made me appreciate this character is his immense amount of positive energy to fix these situations. Like he's just like, it'll work out. I believe in you, and I'll be there for you. You know, like we'll figure it out together. Like if I love, like he's just saying all of the right things, and he means it. So it's like I think he is he's like a very positive and good protagonist for this kind of dark series.
I think so too. I think it's a really good juxtaposition to have a sort of bright, cheery, positive guy and kind of a like the Thing possession horror type thing. It'll be interesting.
Exactly.
It'll be interesting to see how that's balanced. But yeah, he's like, it's like marriage is a lifelong vow. I love you. It's like, it's just a number. I love you. Oh, he's only 16 here. I was thinking he was 18, but yeah. So
I actually can't tell what the age gap between them is because there was like a childhood flashback and
she's I think like 5 or 6 years older. Yeah, 4, 5, 6 years older than him, something like that. That seems about right. But yeah. So anyways, she goes into labor while he's there, which of course. They rush her off to the hospital. And this is where we get to the point in the story where it's like things get worse, right? This is the turn in the story. Billy's walking. He seems very happy. You know, we got her to the hospital. She's going to give birth. He's like, oh, I'm going to go buy a gift for the baby. And there's another kid walking the hall and says, look, mama, is like the moon is falling. And there's something with Billy here.
Well, even at the beginning, he saw like the alien species on. He was telling the police about like the black sludge or whatever he saw on the cannibals, and also he's having a reaction to the moon falling.
Right, he has a reaction to this moon asteroid thing falling. It's also mentioned when he's talking to the police when he's a kid that it's like Billy has like seen or run into this alien like more times. Like he's like, oh, it was somebody doing cannibalism again, and Billy saw it again, was involved again. There's something going on. He's either already partially possessed, or maybe he's not a human. We don't know anything about his parents, really. We aren't given a whole lot of information about his history other than the few scenes when he's a kid. But this is really the most interesting thing, right? Is that this moon starts to fall and he like has a mental, like a brain reaction to it of some kind. He's like, what's going on? My head hurts like hell. He's like, I'm going to pass out. And he looks up and like, these are really cool panels. I like this art a lot here with like the dark.
I think like, a potential theory here is that he is just one of the aliens because he had no parental figures, right? He just had the toys, and the only he fell in love with Ellie because she is the only one who is supportive towards him, which means I guess his mom and dad aren't around. Just assumptions.
I think we'll probably get more information about what's going on with him, but potentially about his history too. I think this has been pretty generous with flashbacks in a chapter 1, but I really like the art on these pages. I think the darkening the hallway to see the light kind of buildings and meteor falling outside is really cool. He also says it's like it's falling in slow motion. I don't know if that means that time is slowed down for him or if the meteor is actually moving differently. I couldn't quite understand. I think the meteor is moving differently. I think it's slowing down.
I think so too, because the kid saw the thing falling and, it's still falling and he fell down and it's still falling. Yeah, I think it's just going in slow motion.
Yeah, and the meteorite kind of explodes and shoots out all this stuff. Another really good panel I like, just, I don't know, buildings exploding.
Oh, yeah, that was a cool one.
It's a really good set of panels here when shit goes bad. So, and I like that kind of in a suspense, suspense type story is like when stuff goes bad, if that's kind of the exciting parts, it's always fun to watch, to read.
The left panel feels like a little rough because it feels like very like an old school Ashita no Joe.
Yeah, very just like
knocked out
panel. Bunch of movement lines drawn. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's good. But with that explosion, Ellie gets pierced by a bar of some kind. The whole hospital's kind of wrecked from that explosion. We see this like black alien
nucleus,
orb appear. Yeah, like floating. And I don't think I put these next panels in because they were
probably skip those.
Because they were shippable. But it kind of leaks a black ink.
The baby.
Yeah, it leaks a black ink and kind of goes inside Ellie. And assumedly possesses her, as we're about to see. But Billy finds her. She's like, huh? He pulls this bar out of her and is like, what? Like her wound healed? He's like, no, it's more like the steel pipe melded to her body. And we see Ellie going to like bite him in the exact same way we saw at the start of the story where there was like cannibalism going on. He's like able to dodge it. This is again where kind of the styles get a little, I don't want to say mixed up, but like there's a lot of different kind of visual styles in here. Like this top right is like a little bit more cartoony. And then on the left, her face is like a lot more kind of shadowed differently, like higher detailed.
I think this is one pet peeve I have with it, but I think that gets ironed out as the author finds their own style.
Yeah, and I definitely feels intentional, but it's also maybe like too much. Like swapping to 2 different styles is okay. Swapping to 3 different styles in 2 pages maybe feels like a lot.
Yeah, I think maybe Dr. Light shouldn't have been so cartoony. If instead we see more realistic stuff.
Yeah, and there's definitely like 5 or 6 kind of competing clashing styles in here. But yeah, so Ellie is possessed, and the alien says stuff like from a personal standpoint, I'm convinced that the shockwave caused a chemical reaction creating amino acids.
I think
will
this
require
is purely
an LCMS 8900 to produce further results. Like it's very like, this is not how Ellie talks. This is like something else, like the alien talking through her, right?
So here's the thing, right? The guy at the very beginning smiled at Billy Boy and said, well, I told her not to tell anyone. Yeah, so I think the alien or whatever this is has its host's like personality and memory
because she's a scientist, so that makes sense.
Yeah, so she's a scientist minus the human empathy behind all of it.
Right. Yeah. So very
that's what it seems like. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely saw people talking in comments and stuff about this about the series Parasite or I've seen the anime Parasite. It does,
good point. Yeah,
I do think it's a very kind of the closest analog just from chapter 1 I can say is like, yeah, this is kind of setting itself up to be a little bit like Parasite. So if you like Parasite, you should definitely check this one out. But she like strong kicks him and like knocks him into the wall and goes to fight. She has all this kind of science mumbo jumbo. She's like, we've been unraveling the thread of damaged TM function. The cells have high levels of clotting factor. Their healing capabilities made us doubt our own eyes, like anti-apoptosis, prevention of cellular necrosis, preservation of the endothermal barrier. Cooper 29 maximizes the body's cellular protection potential. So it's like all this stuff that's like alien, make me stronger.
Yeah. I need protein.
Yeah, ingestion of protein is an imperative. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, like human muscles, sure, that's a protein. And this is where stuff gets more interesting. This is kind of the strange attractor of the story, like we've talked about. What makes it interesting. I mean, of course, we're back to kind of the title, right? Which, if you haven't forgotten, the title is Astral Baby. She like starts to feel pain, which the alien or whatever response inside her is like not normal. She's like pain receptor activity. She's like, no. She's like, this rock component is mine. Is like, is she talking to someone? And she looks at the baby, and the baby looks over and is like, literally talks to us as like, you there. He's like, I'll save you. It's like, I'll save you. So you saved me. And that's the end of the chapter, which I thought was a good, very ending.
Interesting.
Yeah. Cause you're like, oh shit, the baby is good, also possessed, partially possessed. That's kind of where you get into the Parasite type, comparisons. He's going to have, alien, who needs his help to survive, but is maybe grants him power or something like that. But
and her husband's a scientist. Who knows? Maybe it's like a plot point where they did something to the baby or something.
Yeah, or maybe this baby recognizes that there's something weird with Billy. There's a lot of ways it could go, but in general, I really liked this chapter 1. It was really interesting. I thought that it hit the ground running, introduced an interesting world, a character, at least one that I like that's going to stick around. Interested to keep track of the baby.
The ending was very funny because the baby looks so serious.
Yeah.
I think like normally I'd have an issue with a manga kind of like taking me out of like the serious stakes of like, oh, my lover's possessed and now it's going to kill me. Into silly talking baby with a very stern face. But I don't know, it worked. I had a good time with it.
Yeah, I also wonder because Billy is so kind of eager and like go get him and happy type thing. I wonder if instead of in something like Parasite, right? The main character in Parasite is much more of kind of a serious, bookworm type of guy, and then the alien is kind of the like weird, goofy, funny one. And I wonder if this one it's going to be reversed, right? Like this alien is going to be like a hyper serious, like I think so. I am an extraterrestrial creature who's very serious, and the Billy's going to be like, I'm a goofy dude who's in the army. So
he has that classic anime serious guy face, like that's photoshopped on. Yeah, it's like
yeah.
I forgot what that manga is called. It's like everyone parodies it, but yeah, it's like Golgo 9101.
Oh, Golgo, yeah, Golgo 13. Golgo 13.
Golgo 13.
Yeah.
Golgo 13.
Yeah, that's like one of the I think the longest running manga of all time.
Yeah, and it stopped like a few years ago, but yeah, it's very funny.
Mm-hmm.
Very funny looking baby.
Yeah,
voiced by Alec Baldwin, I'm sure.
yeah, Chris Pratt and Alec Baldwin now starring.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, overall thoughts. What'd you think? What'd you think of this?
Oh, I loved it. I think it's incredibly unique, and it was just a fun ride, and I think it like a lot of it just worked. I think the characters were good, the plot was interesting, and it was paced really well. So, and my only gripe is the art being a little inconsistent.
Yeah, the art a little weird. But, yeah, I'd agree with that.
But to be honest, it's not really a big deal for me when everything works so well aside from it, like, and even then the art's not bad. It's like great at times. So
yeah, for sure. I agree with all those thoughts. I definitely think this has a good strange attractor. I thought it did good world building. I thought it definitely connected to me to the two main characters. I'm interested. It basically did everything a chapter 1 needs to do, right? It showed me that it can tell at least part of a complete story. I don't think it necessarily told a complete story. I think this will be a 2-chapter complete story thing. But yeah, and I mean, the world building especially I thought was really good in this. The sort of, like we talked about, alt history, kind of sci-fi, Russia-looking area. Characters were good. It's an interesting plot. There's a lot of kind of background information we got on the possession and the aliens. I think we're going to get even more. So I think as sort of a part 1 to an intro story, it was really good. And definitely the hook at the end of like her baby stopping her from hurting or killing Billy more, and then being like, I'll save you, you save me. Yeah, super interesting. And Parasite, I gotta say, Parasite is a fantastic story. One of the most interesting, one of the most interesting main character developments I've ever seen. Most of the time, main characters kind of get, you care about them more and more, and minor spoilers for Parasite, but the main character in Parasite goes on the kind of opposite journey that you usually go through on a hero's journey, where he's very likable at the start. By the time you get to the end, you're like, he's a fucking alien robot. So,
I think
super interesting story for that.
He's losing his emotions in Parasite. And I think there's like a one perfect encapsulated scene where there's a dog that got hit by a car, is dead.
Yeah.
And he picks up the dog and throws it away in the trash can.
That's a meme. There was a meme of that somewhere. I remember the anime. I think he just like picks it up and puts it in the trash. But
I think it's just like a perfect way to represent your character as lost emotions. Because by all means, it's pretty logical. It's just waste at this point. Okay. You throw it away.
It's gone. Yeah, get rid of it.
But it's heartless, right? That's a living creature. So it's like, for him, who doesn't have really the emotional bandwidth or capacity to understand that it's a heartless act, thinks, oh, I'm doing the right thing by throwing this away.
Yeah.
Cleaning up litter. It's like a great scene. I love it.
Yeah, it's such an interesting thing just for the fact that it's, instead of its main character being sort of more likable and more compassionate as time goes on, he goes on the opposite journey. He gets kind of stronger and less compassionate and less emotional as time goes on. It's a very interesting and different type of story that you don't see very often. But anyways, yeah.
And unlike isekais, right, where it's like cool to be mysterious and emotionless, it's seen as like a bad thing.
It's a very bad thing.
Yeah.
He like loses people essentially because he makes decisions based on not what he cares about. At times, but
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Go check if you haven't read or seen Parasite. I think it's a really good anime. I have not read the manga, but I've heard the manga is also good, maybe better. But yeah,
I've only read the manga, so I can confirm it's very good though.
Yeah, all right. So yeah, recommendations from both sides on that one. But yeah, Astral Baby, really good. Really liked it. I'm glad that we're getting a sort of different Jump Plus series. We don't get a whole lot of. This read to me a lot more. This read a lot more seinen to me, like a lot more just straight adult than a lot of the shonen stuff we get on Jump Plus.
It reminds me, it's like it's feels like it's going to be a buddy cop thing with the baby and this guy. It reminds me of Fabricant mixed with Earthchild, except it's better than both of those.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, to be
we'll
fair,
see on Earthchild, I guess.
We went over chapter 1 of Earthchild. I don't know. Actually, I don't know if we did on the podcast. But we talked to each other about chapter 1 of Earthchild, and that's one of the best chapter ones, that Jump has done in the past couple of years. That's also one of the worst series Jump has done in the last couple of years. So
it should have been a one shot, right? Yeah.
It was it was an amazing first chapter. That. So yeah, if you haven't read Earthchild, read the first chapter and then do not read anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is super interesting. Really glad we're getting some different. This is the thing that I like about Jump Plus and Manga Plus a lot is that Weekly Shonen Jump is very tied to sort of the shonen, lots of action shonen and a couple of other kind of shonen spin-off things. And Jump Plus is like, yeah, do a weird alien baby seinen thing. It's like, sure, just do it.
It reminds me of like AAA games versus like AA and indies. It's like you can get real weird with it when there's not public pressure breathing down your neck to produce results.
Exactly. When there's not the need to sell, X amount of copies or you're canceled in Weekly Shonen Jump. Like, yeah, you can just get weird with it. I mean, some of my favorite stuff on Jump Plus has just been really weird. Like Service Wars was really weird. Shibatarian, which I think is ended or about to end, maybe this week or next week. Really weird. I didn't like it that much. Maybe I'll talk about that when it's over. But that was a really weird one.
That when it's over. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I really like this, so I'm excited to keep reading and we'll try to check in on this in a couple of weeks to see if it keeps up its quality, because I do think this is really interesting. I'm a sucker for kind of sci-fi mystery drama stuff, like
this is like
Blade Runner, like the both the Blade Runner movies are some of my favorite movies. Like those are excellent. So.
You know what this is? This actually reminds me of the plant one that we read not too long ago.
Chainsaw Man but Plants, yeah.
A Chainsaw Man but Plants. I forgot what it's called, but it's a more compelling start.
Yeah, what was that called? Yeah, that one fell off pretty quick for me. And I checked in on the comments a couple times, and everything that I assumed after about 5 or 6 chapters seemed to continue to be true. It just evolved into typical shonen, like, it's just, if you've read Tokyo Ghoul, it's like...
It's just Tokyo Ghoul.
Possessed by the thing. Yeah. He goes to the, members of people who are... I mean, it's like Bleach. Like, we're back again. It's just Bleach again, right? Like, dude gets a power or possessed by something, and then he joins a group of people who also have that power, and so he's more accepted.
I would say it's more Tokyo Ghoul than Bleach, but
for sure it is. I see what you mean. It's a lot more Tokyo Ghoul Chainsaw Man coded than Bleach. But
you don't need to try at that space. I think Tokyo Ghoul already has a firm lock on a good manga in that space. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. That might be just me being negative. Yeah. Do whatever you want.
I mean, like if you need more Tokyo Ghoul, go read Chojin X, because I have not read Tokyo Ghoul. True. I am reading Chojin X, and Chojin X fucking rocks. So
I should read that. Yeah,
you should. It's a really good one, and it's not too long yet. It's only maybe like 60 chapters, 60 or 70. Although there's a bunch of like 48.1, 48.2 chapters. So I think it's listed at like 48 chapters, but I think it's more like 60 or so. But yeah.
Hey, speaking of incredibly long manga.
Good transition. Speaking of incredibly long manga, let's talk about One Piece chapter.
Hell yeah, brother.
1106 on your side.
It's our favorite time of the year.
Yep, Robin in the little pre-shape page, which is good. She's my favorite Straw Hat, or one of. And also, I just noticed, actually, this is funny, this alligator is wearing a shirt that has, instead of Lacoste, it says Lacosta on it. I didn't even notice that joke. That's funny, though.
I don't get it.
Lacoste is like a polo brand with the alligator on it. You've seen this, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. Okay.
Yeah, that brand is called Lacoste, which I think is spelled like this with an E at the end, maybe, or maybe no vowel. I don't know how to spell. I've never owned a Lacoste shirt. Okay, so I'm literally wearing, and I guess I'm wearing a Ghost t-shirt today, but that's actually a funny joke.
This is a funny. It's a cute one too. He's a little bow on his tail. Anyway.
Okay. Anyways, real shit.
But there's so much to talk about.
There's a lot in here. They order a fucking Buster Call, right? I guess last chapter, Saturn ordered a Buster Call on Egghead. It's happening. The
Straw Hat's second Buster Call to Usopp's Lament. Yeah.
Yeah. Robin's third Buster
Jesus,
Call?
yeah. She has gone through it, huh?
She's been through a couple. The pacifistas are here is like shoot down that pathetic family. Bonnie is like, please don't shoot, Daddy, help us escape alive instead. And she's there was this like I think there was this awesome emotional beat where Vegapunk was like, I would hate if Kuma, these clones that look just like your dad, if you died by their hand. Yeah, and it sounded like Vegapunk didn't have a plan for this. But then as you see, she says
Daddy, please don't shoot. And you see Vegapunk does have a plan.
And he's like, what? He's like, why are they aiming at us? All the pacifistas turn around and start to blow up the Marine ships, this is a great spread. There's
also just like a very, very good line. I think the best line of the chapter from Vegapunk here. Hold on, let me.
It's I think I have it here because it's.
Oh, okay. Well,
no, maybe not. He says something about.
I got it right here. It says, yeah, it's like every pacifista will be programmed to obey her. Bonnie, they will prioritize your orders above all else, even the commands from the world's overseers. It doesn't matter if the entire planet is against you. Kuma will always be on your side.
Yeah.
What a solid emotional beat after that fucking flashback. It was so good.
Yeah. This also to me solidifies. I mean, I don't. Vegapunk before we knew who he was like, is he a bad guy? People kind of assumed Vegapunk was going to be a bad guy. I would say for 1,000+ chapters. This confirms to me that he's not a bad guy at all. He's a good guy.
I think he's complicated.
I guess it's complicated that he works for the world government and the things he's done. But like anytime he's ordered to do something that's like too far for him, like completely removing Kuma's personality, which he doesn't do, or programming a failsafe in the pacifistas of like, well, all the pacifistas can do whatever the world government wants, but I won't let them kill Bonnie. Like I'll program it into where they'll always listen to Bonnie, and it's like, it's convenient from a storytelling standpoint, but it's also perfect, and like it's sweet. Absolutely appropriate here. So
I think he's a character who walks the tightrope between morality and innovation in terms of science, right? Like, and I don't think he's always good, and I don't think he is. Yeah, I think he makes he's done fucked up things with his invention just by proxy of them existing.
Yeah,
but I think he's a good dude, right? Like, you can make the nuclear bomb and still be like a good guy outside of that.
Yeah, I mean,
kind of situation.
I saw Oppenheimer.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Well, maybe not Oppenheimer himself, but yeah.
But
so he gets fucking gibbed. He gets shanked by the spider boss, Saturn here, right after he finds out. It's a consequence for programming the failsafe to obey Bonnie.
Yep. He calls on Kizaru is like, betrayal of this magnitude would be met with no mercy. Like, and we've got, damn it, Vegapunk. Noted Vegapunk stabbed in what I would say is a super non-lethal way, especially for One Piece. 2, I think even if this Vegapunk dies, he still kind of exists with all his other bodies, right? Like, it isn't his full personality spread, but like, I think that's the whole idea, right? It's like,
well, you see the apple on his head, right? His brain ain't there.
Yeah, for sure.
I think effectively that just means even if this body dies, he's fine.
I think that's what we'll see. I think we'll probably see this original Vegapunk, whatever you want to call him, die here. But the Straw Hats will escape with sort of the other, I guess, 5 Vegapunks is what's left, right? One of them betrayed them, and then this one's dead, and there were 7. I think that's right. So, or maybe 8.
Yeah. No. Well, didn't the one with the mask get shot by the betrayer?
Oh, that's true. So there might only be 4. I don't know. There's a handful of other Vegapunks left. Yeah. There's a handful of Vegapunks left, so I think that there's kind of enough there to maybe explain the thing, to lore drop when we need Vegapunk to lore drop stuff.
I don't think anyone got domed harder than that one Vegapunk. But yeah.
Yeah, that was a very kind of throwaway end of a chapter.
This is a cool one, actually. I wanted to talk on this. It's well, they're lamenting Vegapunk getting stabbed, but Luffy has been eating in the background. Who knows who funneled him food? Cough, cough, Kizaru. Maybe. It's my theory.
Did it not show us in this chapter or last chapter? Didn't it show us last chapter? Or who fed him?
I don't think it showed.
I thought it was one of the Vega. I thought it was one of the Vegapunks. Or
he just had food, and Saturn was like, "Hey, get that food away from him."
Oh yeah, maybe that was it.
And they weren't able to. But yeah, Luffy is completely back in full form and being Joy Boy all about. And I loved this page because it shows us 2 things, right? It shows us how touching this moment is to Bonnie and Kuma, who also remembers, as you can see in that panel, very sweet. But also the drums, the heartbeat, his drum heartbeat.
The drum heartbeat, yeah.
Awakens the ancient robot
again.
Underneath
it was like
Egghead.
A year ago the first time we saw this happen, by the way. Like I think it was like 9 or 10 months ago when Luffy first transformed and we saw this robot wake up. And I think that we did a podcast on it, I think, like 9 months ago. And we're like, what does a robot mean? The robot's waking up. And it's like, here it is again. I hope this robot wakes fully up, because when we're told about this robot, we're told that it's like, it's like the ancient technology that Vegapunk bases all his stuff on. It's like super strong and like from the Void Century, I think, right?
Yeah, the Void Century bot. Yeah. Like, and yeah, I expect this thing to be in action coming soon, because it's not One Piece without an element of absolute chaos.
I think this is it's not really Deus Ex Machina, but like it kind of is, because it's a god from the machine, right? That's what Deus Ex Machina means. Like,
that is funny. Yeah,
I think this machine is what.
I
think this machine comes and either fights and kills Saturn, or just holds him off long enough for everyone to escape, right? Because this machine's going to show up and be strong enough to either go toe to toe with Saturn or maybe kill him. I don't know if Saturn dies here. We'll
Saturn even know what this is.
He might have
non-emus know about the Void Century.
That's a good question. Yeah, we'll get into speculations at the end there, but yeah, this panel on the left with Bonnie, I really like, because we've kind of been shown like Luffy, Nika, the Sun God, in a lot of we've been shown him in this, but it's interesting to like. We got this in Wano, right? Where it's like, we saw Luffy from this angle. It's Nika, the Sun God, kind of outlined against the sun or the moon or whatever. It's cool now to like be watching someone else discover it. It's very much in the same way of like, you told somebody about One Piece and you're getting to like watch them discover it and have fun with it. Like probably how you felt when you introduced me, right? And I was like, sending you daily updates of like, oh my gosh, I'm at this part. This is so cool. I love this face. I like this being staged as you're watching someone else who is very invested in the reveal and the discovery of Nika, the Sun God, in Luffy here, Gear 5, and it's like, it's touching to watch someone else feel what we felt in Wano, right?
Especially when this someone else is not a person, but characters in the stories. Like, you know exactly what Kuma and Bonnie are feeling right now.
Yeah.
They're feeling uplifted.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
there's
awesome.
this little flashback in the bottom right, right? Like, Vegapunk says, like, that rhythm, and then there's a flashback to Bonnie and Kuma being like, Nika. It's like, that's right, I've always looked up to him. They say Nika would come along laughing to this rhythm, like, don 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 do toto, or whatever, right? Like, it isn't quite a don do toto in the anime. I've heard the drums. It's a very military
it's pretty
drum
dope,
thing.
though.
It's pretty good.
I love the Vegapunk's just like a Buster Call is a small problem for him. You know?
There's also this nice kind of like mic drop with Vegapunk here in the bottom left, where he's like talking about Luffy Gear 5, Sun God Nika is like, a Buster Call is a tame problem for him.
Yeah,
like, oh, okay. Like, yeah. Which is really cool. And then we get our last final 2-page spread here. I think it was the end of last chapter was like they are here, and I was like, who's they? I saw a lot of predictions, like it's Luffy's Grand Fleet, it's Garp, it's Blackbeard. I don't think I saw anyone saying who it actually is that showed up here. But I love it. It's a fucking Dory and Broggy from
the boys,
chapter 130, maybe like 970 chapters ago.
Is Little Garden from before even Alabasta is when they were last seen.
Yeah, like I wonder, hold on. I wonder what chapters this actually was, because it's like, okay, yeah, manga chapters 115 to 129. So it's like almost 1,000 chapters ago.
I love
Have we seen these? I think we maybe saw these guys in one or two interludes, like where we're getting new Straw Hat, bounty reveals, like maybe once or twice, but like it has legitimately been almost 1,000 chapters since these characters were like first revealed on screen and important, and they're here. And to me, this is the perfect. It's amazing that Oda can do this. We talk about this a lot, but it's like Oda can surprise you, and you see it, and you go, "Oh yeah, that's perfect." Because like Dory and Broggy are going to save the Straw Hats and then take them to Elbaf. And that's our like connection. That's the tie that gets the Straw Hats to Elbaf, to the Giants, to the history of the Void Century. Like, it all just makes perfect sense. But nobody would have guessed. It's like, yeah, fucking Dory and Broggy are going to show up at Egghead after 1,000 chapters.
I never would have guessed. Oda has made 1,000 interesting characters and manages to bring them back and keep them relevant in interesting fucking ways.
Yeah.
You don't need new characters for this. It's like, it's great to see Broggy and Dory again. Yeah. And just like it was hilarious to see Wapol again, and
yeah,
being,
that
like,
was I was the
helping
exact same
me,
thing I
it's
was
like,
thinking of like you're
yeah.
bringing back a weird character and making him really important. It's also it's perfect. And it's good because One Piece is already so big, and we're already getting a couple of new characters every time you get to a new island. We got all the Vegapunks in this one and his assistants and stuff. So like we don't really need a new character here. Also, when someone's coming to save the Straw Hats, it's like it's probably someone the Straw Hats have helped or saved before. So yeah, but this is not.
This is a good fit because
It's a perfect fit. Yeah.
they're going to Elbaf anyway, and it makes like Usopp was inspired by these two for his dream, so it works in so many ways, and Oda knows it too.
Yeah, and again, it's still just super impressive how reading last week's chapters and discussions, like no one was like, I bet it's. Some people might have said like, oh, maybe it's the Giants from Elbaf coming to help them, but I don't think anybody. If anyone typed out, oh, I bet Dory and Bragi are coming, and you've got that dated before like February 1st, like send this, like put that in the comments. Get in the comments and show it to me because they deserve $1 or a slice of pizza from us.
And hook us up with that premium crack you've been smoking to get that guess. That's insane.
Hook us up with your time traveling shenanigans here.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, like like I said, this connects to where I think we all assume we are going next, which is Elbaf. People thought we were going straight to Elbaf after Wano. I mean, this Egghead stop-off has been great. I'm not disappointed that we're not at Elbaf. I do think that we have to go. I do think we have to go to Elbaf. I do think we're going there next. Excited to get there. Dorian Bragi is the perfect pair to bring you there. They're the Giants who are most closely sort of related to the Straw Hats, maybe other than Saul and Robin. But I think Saul is going to be at Elbaf, right? Like I think that's
probably
nearly confirmed. So.
Probably, and there's so much of the man covered in flames that's probably Saul, like we all guessed. But we'll see.
That's I think the prevailing theory right now.
But like the Giants are all about like the sun, right? In this story, so well, at least it's been hinted at. So I think this is just a natural progression to the story, but he did it in the best way possible. So I'm here for it.
We won't get too caught up in Elbaf. We'll get there when we get there. Did you want to talk about what did we want to? There was some future stuff that. I don't remember. We were going to predict some stuff, and then I stopped you, and I forgot what we were talking about.
I don't.
Oh, the robot.
I think we could.
The robot.
So the Void Sentry is still under Egghead to a huge capacity, and Vegapunk is very much lamenting the loss of Egghead altogether.
Yeah.
So I think maybe we don't leave Egghead this soon. We're gonna see. I think we're gonna be here a while longer before shipping off to Elbaf.
Yeah. I would guess. It's hard to guess how long anything is going to take when it's Oda in One Piece. I would guess like 10 more chapters, maybe. I would guess we have enough time to fight and fully resolve Saturn in some way, right? He's either defeated and held off or killed here. And then I think that we also probably lose Kuma at some point, and Bonnie leaves without Kuma. That would be my guess. So I think all those things need to happen. Not a whole lot else needs to happen, though.
I could actually see Kuma living. He's the most tragic character so far. That I wonder if they go as negative as just killing him off after all this.
He's also kind of already dead, though, so it's more of like my dad is now not a slave to the world government. He's like free. I don't know.
I could see it going both ways, and it's still being good writing. I'm just kind of wondering with One Piece's kind of general theme of positivity after the Joy Boy reveal, I can see them saving Kuma.
Yeah, but one person dies like every arc since the time skip, so it's like somebody's got to die in the arc. Like
you gotta remember,
somebody died in Wano, somebody died in Whole Cake. Like somebody,
you gotta remember how hard that one Vegapunk got domed in the head by that bullet. It was fucked up. How
those
hard
are robots, though. I'm gonna say like those are like robot slices of Vegapunk that are not real people. I don't know.
Dude, that's some. You need to unpack that.
Are robots people? A discussion.
You need to. There are a few movies I can recommend.
Yeah,
Blade Runner.
I love those movies. Don't worry. I think those are great. I'm really not sure. I'm with you. I definitely could see it going either way. I think Kuma living, Kuma dying could go either way.
I think whatever it is, it'll be good.
Well, and I do think, there's another kind of defense I think for Kuma living is that other than Robin, we do maybe need another, like maybe the Straw Hats need another connection back to the revolutionaries, and maybe that's Kuma. There's already lots of ties, obviously, like Luffy's dad runs the Revolutionaries. That's tie enough, probably. But
and Sabo
and Robin.
Koala, yeah.
I mean, there's tons of connections, but it would be interesting to be like, oh, Kuma's back, and he goes, I'm going to go, be with revolutionaries and fight that war if he's freed or something. But
truly, I don't know. I think it'll just be too sad for Bonnie to lose her dad after all this. I think that is my primary reason for thinking this goes a more positive way, just due to the nature of Joy Boy, like being infinitely uplifting. I think this is a moment where the hero can save the day and save this sad family, and it would just work.
Yeah, I can see it. I could also see it being like Kuma being like, I saw Joy Boy, my life. I can end my life because I'm happy I saw the thing I wanted to see all my life, or whatever. Or like I made the right choice. I like saved the kid I thought was Joy Boy, and it turns out he was, and now he's here to save my daughter. I'd
love to see Bonnie and him go on adventures, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I'm curious. I wonder, how do you think this ends with Bonnie and the Straw Hats? I don't think she's going to join the Straw Hats. I'll put that out there.
I think she travels with them like a companion character like Law.
I think, potentially. I think she's added. Joining, I think she's added to the Grand Fleet probably in some capacity. Bonnie and the whatever her pirates are called.
I know some One Piece fans can't stomach this, but there are no more Straw Hats. We got all of them.
Did we get all 10?
I think.
We
didn't.
I think we technically have to include Vivi and what's her name from Wano, right? Joining by this sort of end of the story.
Oh, Odin Proxy.
Yeah, whose name I can't remember now. But
yeah. Those are kind of like the honorable Straw Hat mentions, the official but unofficial crew members.
Kind of in the same way that Jinbei was for a while before he officially joined, right?
Right, but I don't see Vivi ever actually like joining.
Oh, you don't think? Around, Oh, I think that's like endgame. That's
you think
clear
so?
Endgame to me. Oh yeah, cool. Because
but I guess you're right. She's on the run, right?
Yeah, because the info she knows, she's on the run. I think she might be in Elbaf even. Like that might even be the connection we get. Oda is insistent that he's very close to the end, and I think that you've got to start connecting certain characters and drawing stuff together. I think there's a potential in Elbaf that we get Revolutionary Army and Vivi and all of her information. Elbaf might be the sort of the final island before the big final war. That would be my guess here. I don't see where else they would be going. Actually, no. They might go to God Valley. That would be the other place I think they might go, but I think that's a flashback we're going to get.
There's also like the pirate island where Garp quote unquote died,
I think that's I don't think the Straw Hats go there. I think that's a story taking place there, but yeah,
honestly,
maybe also
I have no idea.
Doesn't Blackbeard have Boa Hancock captured now also? There's also Crossgill.
No, Hancock got away from them.
Hancock got away? Okay, I couldn't remember.
Yeah. Hancock didn't lose her power, and she got away from Blackbeard's shit because Riley showed up.
That's right, yeah. So,
and,
there's a lot.
Both, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot to do, but because we got a little bit of the God Valley stuff with Kuma, right? But that's something that we've been waiting for like 400 chapters, like a long time.
Dude, there's like 5 years lft of this, I think, at the least.
Yeah, years-wise for sure, yeah. But I do think, I am curious if, I don't know. I'm super excited. I'm excited every week for One Piece. This was a good one. I would say I'm even more excited for next week because I think now the stage is set for a fight. And I'm not always the biggest, like, oh yeah, the fights are exciting, but like Gear 5 Luffy is here. The robot is awake. Dory and Bragi are here. Like Saturn is there. Like the fight is happening right now.
Luffy says like a little catchphrase like thing too, where he's like, "Let's have some fun." Mm-hmm. It's like, I'm at full power. Let's have some fun.
Yeah, he's like, he literally just got like gorged. He's at full power.
Yeah.
So
I see a fight happening soon as well. One last thing to mention about this arc is how much Oda wants to show that Sanji is very much not a creep around Bonnie. And I kind of appreciate that, like, because people are like
getting onto him for being. Yeah, I wonder if he was in the past. I don't remember. I mean, probably.
Well, before he knew, he was right. He just likes pretty girls.
True, yeah.
But like, every interaction he calls her Bonnie-chan, and no blushing, no heart for eyes. Yeah, it's just
well, behavior. And Chan is like how you address like a child, or it's more of like a cute nickname in Japanese, I guess, than others.
Like someone younger than yourself. Yeah.
Okay, so immediate predictions for the next couple of chapters.
Brother,
I guess two big questions are: do you think Kizaru switches sides?
Yes, I think.
Okay,
he's been too nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder. Every time everyone's like, "Oh yeah, next chapter Kizaru's going to swap sides," and he has not done that, and people have been saying that for like 5 weeks now or more.
He has done nothing but lament the course of action he needs to take throughout all.
Yeah,
these
and he's kind of
chapters,
definitely not put his full force into any of like his attacks or what he's been doing. Really, I don't think. I do wonder.
Vegapunk is like, Kizaru, how could you be so heartless? Like, you changed.
Kizaru,
and, Kizaru's like, yeah, I've turned into a no good man, no good human being.
I do wonder what the out for him is. If it's I wonder if he like knows about Nika, the sun god, and is like, wait, if this kid's Nika and he's fighting against the world government, is that the final swap for him?
I think the theory that Kizaru got Luffy the food is incredibly plausible because
for sure.
Saturn didn't notice how he got the food, just that food was there.
Yeah,
and I can see Kizaru very much not wanting to have to deal with it, like not wanting to have to go through these dark deeds that he has to do, and like creating his own monster to stop him.
Yeah,
like waking Luffy up so Luffy can kind of.
It's like I won't confront you directly, but I'll help all the people who are going to take you down. Like I could definitely see that being more Kizaru's style, because he's also been kind of hands off on, because he was in. Was he in the Doflamingo arc? Is that when he first showed up, right? Or was it before?
No, he first showed up in Shibaudi Archipelago to fuck up the new generation.
That's right. Yeah.
He wrote a cannonball, I think. It's sick.
I don't know. The introduction of characters in One Piece is like, oh, he wrote a cannonball? Like, that's like top 25 cool introductions of One Piece, but...
Yeah, they all have cool ones, right? So it's hard.
So I guess so the other prediction question I have, so we do, I think we do think...
You think Kizaru will switch, right?
I don't know. I think it's more likely he does, I guess is what I will say. I don't think I'm fully convinced. I think there might be a world where Kizaru, like, talks with Luffy, or like while they're fighting, like, leans in close and is like, hey, like, knock me out, like I'm gonna go dismantle him from the inside or something. But right, like
I
could see him doing something.
Switch.
I guess so.
Yeah, I would consider it a switch if he even fed Luffy that food.
That's true. Yeah. Or he could be more like, hey, like if I betray the world government now, like I'll be dead before I can do anything. Like Emu might have like some kind of hold over them. So I could see him maybe being sort of cajoled or forced to not betray them, but still want to betray them. Yeah, like maybe the food is enough to just say like, oh, okay, he betrayed him.
But
it's more likely that he does, but I'm not sure exactly how it'll go down. Which is,
I'd like to note one interesting thing is after the war, right after the Whitebeard War, Garp stepped down and Sengoku stepped down from governmental leadership positions. Well, Garp to an extent.
Demoted, I guess.
But Sengoku stepped down and put Akainu in charge. And you saw in Punk Hazard that Akainu and Aokiji had a falling out, and for control over the government, or the commander position, and Aokiji became a vigilante. Here you see Saturn being a fucking radical, just like Akainu is. So, and Kizaru no longer is aligning with the values, seemingly, right?
And to me, Kizaru, the whole time he's been around, has never like really been, I feel like, wholeheartedly behind the world government. He's always never felt like he's like, oh, I buy it. He's not like Green Bull.
He's a carefree guy. Right?
Yeah, Green Bull is like, I'm a dog of the world government. I'm here. They told me to fuck you up, and I'm here to fuck you up. But he's much more...
That guy's a ladder climber, for sure.
Yeah, and Kizaru doesn't strike me as that kind of character. And I think definitely after all the sort of stuff we've seen him in and doing in Egghead, like, he definitely doesn't seem like that kind of character. So.
But I think what's interesting is how Oda world builds, right? This is like, you can see after the war, the Whitebeard War, seemingly a government victory, how radicalized the government became afterwards, and how it's driving away like two of their admirals. Two of their big players in the war are already like making hard decisions, or already out of the government, right? It's like,
for sure.
And the purple Fujitora is also not a radical like the rest of them. So it's like
Fujitora is the other one I think is likely to swap sides or not help or whatever you want to say. But yeah,
I think this is perfect because it sets up the world government from this kind of good and bad. Like they do a lot of good for the world and a lot of like killing pirates and subjugating people, all that shit.
Yeah.
To a more radically bad force, where the good, the people in the world government we do like are either seeing the cracks or leaving.
Yes, and I think, and we talked about this last year when we talked about the chapter with Garp and all those guys, right? Talking about Sword, like Kizaru could be Sword,
right?
Like you never know. Like that's kind of, I think, the split we're gonna get, right? Is like we're gonna get Sword being like Sword is the good part of the government.
100% is,
and everyone else, is either
yeah.
going to like leave, or not be a part of it. So
yeah, Kizaru is no way. Aokiji is in no way working with Blackbeard legitimately. I feel like
that's
even though Oda tried to convince us with that little flashback, which I still liked, it's very much like his motivation was anti-radicalization of the government. They fought in Punk Hazard for that, and then he started capturing like the high-level prisoners in Impel Down and freezing them in Punk Hazard, right? Like he wouldn't do that and then join the most notorious pirate in the world, who fucking sucks. Yeah,
I definitely agree. You can go check out our episode talking about that 6 or 7 months ago. I want to say is when that happened. Maybe a little longer, last year sometime. But yeah, okay. One more question about predictions.
Yeah,
in the future.
Let's do one more because we'll talk about this forever. Otherwise,
yeah, we could. The robot is the part that I'm interested in, and the Void Century. And so, what do you?
So we got nothing on that yet. I think.
We got a little bit, right? We know it's from the Void Century. We've been told by Vegapunk that it's exceptionally powerful and that its technology is more, like, I don't want to say futuristic necessarily, but its technology is more complex and advanced, I guess.
And it can't be understood with the scientific method. So it's like there's some weirdness, like a devil fruit type of like supernatural type thing going on.
Okay, you're hitting the nail that I wanted to hit, is that a lot of people thought that Vegapunk was going to be the spoon that fed us information about devil fruits. That's what a lot of people were like, oh, Vegapunk's doing research on devil fruits. You know, all this like kind of mysterious stuff we don't know about is going to be brought to light when we know Vegapunk. I still think that might be true.
I think so too.
And I think it might be possible like in the next chapter or two. I think that Luffy's Gear 5 might be something that Vegapunk has something to say about. I think that there is some connection here, and maybe this will be the last kind of thought that we can talk about, but there is some connection here between the Void Century, the ancient technology, and the devil fruits. Like people have theorized that those are all connected somehow, that the devil fruits are potentially like magic powers captured by the sort of advanced civilization of the Void Century or something like that. So I wonder, this robot I think might tell. I guess my prediction is I think this robot might reveal something about devil fruits to us that we don't know, and that's kind of an out of left field. Like, why would the robot doesn't have a devil fruit? Like, maybe it does. Who knows? That's kind of
so. Here's what we do know in my brain. I'm not as well versed as some of the super fans, but I remember a decent amount. So here's what I remember: is that Emu has a literal devil tail. So and
is a devil. Yeah,
is a devil
essentially, as far as we can tell, right? Yeah.
Same with Saturn, her follower, or his follower. And so what we know is that Emu had control of all the devil fruits until Nefertiti, whatever her name was, spread them out. You know, kind of dismantled her power structure. She also keeps the Void Century strictly under wraps with Buster calls, just killing.
Yeah, all the history of the Void Century is not something they want revealed for sure.
So we do know that the government doesn't know that all this shit is under.
I'd say the majority of the government doesn't know that Emu is like a devil or has a devil powers or demon powers or a devil fruit that's devil. That isn't fully explained yet. But that's definitely interesting to know more.
There's only a handful of characters that know that, including
Vivi being one of them, which is kind of Wapol and Vivi
Wapol
are definitely kind of the important ones for the good guys. Yeah.
In any case, it's what we do know about the Void Century is that Emu has a very strict grasp, or had a very strict grasp on everything, including the Void Century and devil fruits. But now it's only a strong kind of containment of the Void Century, which I think is also going to break apart because of Sun God Nika, aka
Nika. Yeah, and I think we're going to learn. I think in Elbaf we're going to learn what are the most of the secrets of the Void Century, right? Maybe not all of them, but I think the majority, we will kind of get that reveal in Elbaf with Saul, probably Saul and Robin kind of discussing, here's all the things we know or whatever. That's coming soon. So 2 years from now, probably, but yeah.
The final thing I can say on this is the characters that do have the information we seek, aside from Wapol and Vivi, which we talked about, are the Elders, Emu, Shanks, Rip Cobra used to, and I think that's it.
And I think
Sabo.
And I think Saul.
Saul, yeah.
Saul and I think the Giants know, right? Like, I think because we saw in the flashback with Dragon.
That's what it feels like,
and
right?
Vegapunk taking all that stuff from, where's Robin from that got Buster called? Ohara.
Ohara,
Yeah, the Library of Ohara, right? Like, all of those documents they hid those on Elbaf.
And Vegapunk knows to an extent, too.
I think Vegapunk knows more than he's letting on.
For sure, he lives on top of all of it, right? Yeah. So,
well, and I think that he knows. Well, I don't know. I think that he's read all those Void Century books, but I think there's a lot of maybe like firsthand Void Century knowledge, maybe from the Giants if they're old enough, that we might also be potentially getting. So yeah, I
think he knows less than the characters I mentioned, only because he's very much a scientist and not like the
historian, right? He's
historian,
not or Robin political, what's going on. He's more interested in like, does this explain to me how devil fruits or technology work? It's like, nope, it just says that devil fruits were X, Y, and Z. So I agree that he might have that information, but it's not super important to him. So.
And Sabo made it back to the Revolutionaries, right? If that's the case, then they probably
escaped. We know that he escaped the Buster Call that was called on his island, right?
Or the Death Star laser thing.
The Death Star laser, not the Buster Call. Whatever that was.
Pluton laser.
Did we make predictions about that? I feel like we talked about that maybe last year also, but yeah, what was that? Who knows? Will you ever know?
I think that thing being in the sky is the only reason I think Enel will come back at some point.
People have been talking about that, about Enel coming back. I want it to happen. I'm hopeful about it. I don't want to get my hopes too high because I'm afraid I'll be disappointed if he doesn't, but it seems like the kind of thing that might happen.
I'd love to see him throw his ring into the arena because he's such an early game villain.
Yeah.
That was incredibly strong and only beat because Luffy rock, paper, scissored him to death. He was like the natural counter.
And we're getting a lot of those kind of pre-time skip. I mean, we've gotten Dory and Broggy are now back, right? Crocodile has been important to the Cross Guild stuff. Crocodile is still important kind of to the story. There's some secret there.
Because Croc and Enel were only beat because of gimmicks and not due to raw power. So we still see them as incredibly strong characters even now. Right. It's like
for sure. If Enel showed up, it'd be like if Luffy's not around, like he's incredibly strong, like top tier.
Yeah.
Like Doflamingo or higher levels of power.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, there's definitely. I'm trying to think who else is pre-time skip that like was part of a pre-time skip arc that maybe could. I mean, like all the Cypher Pole guys.
I see Foxy coming back.
Yeah, Foxy. I mean, like all the Cypher Pole people from Water 7 they're all like already back. I mean, Luffy's fighting one of them in this arc, right?
The giraffe guy's hilarious. Yeah, he's back.
Yeah, and the giraffe guy's here. The tiger, what is he? Puma, leopard guy. Whatever. He's in this arc, right? That's from Water 7. So
he's
almost all of these characters have like stuck around, like you mentioned. I mean, all the stuff from Impel Down, and we saw who did we? We saw the guy from the Halloween Island. Wasn't he
Moria?
Didn't we see Moria in the last couple of chapters doing something? Like maybe it was an extra thing. Might have been in the extra.
Yeah,
I feel like we saw Moria doing something in the last couple of chapters.
I can't like Dofi seemingly killed him off screen, so I assume he's alive because it's an off-screen death. But I don't know. Absalom is dead. Like his tiger friend is dead because someone else got the invisibility fruit.
That's right. Yeah. So all of that to say that most of the bad guys in the first half of One Piece have stuck around or come back in some form or another, except Enel. Right? That's the only one who was just like. One off, he was down, but we're seeing now how
Don Krieg, I guess.
Well, he's not a big bad guy, but yeah, and he's if he goes to the moon, he's maybe tied to Lunarians with this kind of extra pre-chapter stuff. If you've read those,
it's so funny that this all makes sense logically.
Yeah, it's like it's crazy. Okay, we have to get off One Piece, or we'll
let's get off it.
Let's do some news real quick. Not a whole lot of news, but we did get some announcements.
I actually wonder how fun this is even to listen to for other people, but it's a lot of fun to talk about, so we'll keep doing it.
One Piece it's crazy, man. It's wild how like we talk about it once every 3 months, and it's like everything has changed. There's so much different. We know.
I know.
But it's. I mean, we still talk about it for hours.
Yeah.
All right, let's see some news here. We got some new English titles from Viz. One of those is After God by Sumi Ino, which I've heard a lot of good stuff about. The premise of it is something about killing God, or God dying, maybe. Interested to check that one out, definitely, once it's on. I think that's a digital. I don't remember if these are digital or physical publishings. But anyways, After God by Sumi Ino is getting picked up by Viz and published. Viz is going to publish the complete Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess manga, which I have heard good things about. I've flipped through it. The art in that is fantastic. I've heard that is a very good telling of that story, so I'm pretty hyped maybe to check that out. A Trillionaire Game by Riichiro Inagaki, who wrote Eyeshield 21, and Ryoichi. Yeah, and Ryoichi. Have you read Trillionaire Game? Some of it, right?
Until they stopped translating it, yeah.
Okay, well, that will now, I think, be translated pretty soon and available digitally. A Spider-Man Octopus Girl finally getting picked up. Almost, it's been a year almost, I want to say now, since that came out.
What an insanely underrated thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's by Hideyuki Furuhashi and Betancourt. So they did the My Hero Academia Vigilantes, which is way better than the original. And Octopus Girl is also really good, especially if you're familiar with Spider-Man and that kind of lore. It's got a lot of neat stuff in there, especially, is it Ultimate? I think it's Ultimate Spider-Man is where a lot of the lore stuff comes from, like the Doc Ock taking Spider-Man's place and stuff like that.
I
really
love Doc. And Doc Ock, I think this is like one of his best designs, where he's just in one of his old suits. He's a schlubby dude. Schlubby scientist. It's great.
He's like a big, thick dude.
Yeah.
What else we got? There was a registration for the lookback-anime.jp or .com or something,
Makes
right?
sense.
So people guessing that Look Back is coming. I hope they make that a movie. I think that would like kill in the movie scene if they just made it a movie.
I think so. I think it has enough to be like an hour-long thing.
Yeah, it could be like an OVA, right? Could just be like a who knows? But yeah, Look Back is my preferred. Look Back and
I think both.
Goodbye Eri they're both really good. I think Look Back.
They're just shoo-ins, right?
Yeah, Look Back's my preferred one of the two. But yeah,
I think in terms of animation, I think I'd prefer to see Goodbye Eri.
Goodbye Eri is a bit more fun and interesting, but yeah, they're both good. The Viz website now has the complete Golden Kamui up now. That, again, I cannot recommend that enough. Golden Kamui is an everything type story. It has good humor. It has good action. It has good... You'll learn stuff about Hokkaido and the Ainu people. Golden Kamui is one of my favorite things I read last year, for sure. It's all up. You can pay, $3, I think, to read that on Viz. So, yeah, go do that, for sure.
Hit up Vigilantes while you're there.
Yeah, My Hero Academia Vigilantes, also a good recommendation. 2 new series in Jump coming, I think... It'll be, I guess, next podcast and the podcast after, or maybe 2 and 3, will be those new series. Not very recognizable authors or artists from what I saw, but we'll talk a little bit more when those come. Cypher Academy is ending. We're recording this on Saturday, so Cypher Academy is ending tomorrow, probably the day you're watching this, or maybe the day after.
Okay.
Which is understandable. I'm surprised it made it this far, for being honest. We did not think it was very good. And the puzzles and stuff dropped away. I have not been following it. We'll have to see what the final thoughts of people are on that tomorrow when it comes out. So,
yeah, I think this is maybe something that would have worked as an anime, and in retrospect, like I think you can make this make sense in an anime, but
I think voices would help a lot, and also the writing style of Nisoi Isin is difficult to translate, to say the least, and I think even more difficult to like fully capture and grasp in a weekly manga style. So not surprised that ended though. I mean, I guess I understand why it made it a year. It was better than a lot of the stuff that was kind of bad 2 years ago. But yeah, not surprised that it's ending kind of early here. Some sales reports from Twitter, because we got Kagurabachi, Nue's Exorcist is on a couple of volumes now. But Kagurabachi and Mama Yuyu's first volumes dropped, along with Green Greens and Two on Ice. Reports I'm seeing on Twitter from sales and stuff, it looks like Kagurabachi and Nue's Exorcist are here to stay. I think Nue's is the best selling of those. Kagurabachi is, I think, good enough that Jump will keep it around. I'm pretty happy for that one. Kagurabachi is nothing super special, but I do think it's interesting and fun. Mama Yu Yu is in a kind of close middle ground sales-wise. It's kind of right at the level, and I mentioned this a couple weeks ago maybe, it's right at the level where it's like, they could cancel it, they could let it keep going. I've been pretty disillusioned. Mama Yu Yu has not impressed me the last, 2 months. Has not been great kind of continuing its story. It felt to me like it was getting axed. Like, I still think it might be getting axed, so we'll have to see on that. Green Greens and Two on Ice, I think, are dead in the water, unfortunately. I like Green Greens maybe the most out of all these new stuff. Two on Ice was never that great, but...
Me too, but we knew Green Greens didn't have a chance.
It's just so
slow
hard.
And nuanced
I think
the first chapter was.
I think that also means that Marshall Master Asami is probably out after this arc finishes, unfortunately, too.
That would be a shame.
It is a shame because that's a good one. I hope that one's the one they give another sort of, 6 months or whatever to keep going. But
I was with Mama Yu Yu from the start, but I feel the same way as you. Truly, none of these manga mattered to me at all. So
I'm not super. Of all of the things we've mentioned, MMA is definitely the one I am most invested in. And
I agree. Yeah,
I mean the sumo series that author wrote before got a full year or two run, so maybe this one will survive on that. I don't know. It's tough when you're doing something really niche like that, like MMA or golf. I think a lot of people just don't connect with. So we'll have to see.
I think there's a little bit of safety in that nicheness. Like I think you get fans that really like the thing.
Yeah, if you're a golfer and you're like, holy shit, I've a world, WSJ series about golf. Finally, cool. This is what I'm into. But MMA is smaller than golf by a lot.
Yeah.
But neither of those series are really hitting. So
it's just cope. I'm hoping for MMA to be successful.
Yeah, it's just a good series overall. It's just really good. All right, one last little thing. This is just a fun fact I saw on Twitter. The author of the Sasuke story light novel is Sui Ishida's sister under the pen name Shin Towada. That is, so Sui Ishida is the author of Tokyo Ghoul.
Oh, that's funny.
And Chojin X, and that's like, oh, cool. Who knew?
Hey, that's actually pretty good. Like Sasuke. I didn't read the light novel. I thought it was the manga.
Well, and it was also adapted as an anime. It was animated, so
it was cool. Sasuke breaks out of jail and fights velociraptors that patrol the jail. Which
now that you hear that is like, oh yeah, that's very like Sui Ishida is also kind of wild and crazy like that. So runs in the family, I guess.
Have you seen his masterpiece, This Gorilla Will Die in One Day? And it shows like a happy gorilla, and then the next page it's just a gorilla.
Was that Ishida who did that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fucking hilarious. I do remember that. Like that was like 3 or 4 years ago that came out, right?
Yeah.
I remember reading that.
Ago.
Yeah. Cool. All right, one more thing. I'll go first since we're on the manga. I have been reading. You know what? This is one of those things you read and you don't know how to say it out loud. I have been reading. I'm going to call this Magilumiere Company Limited. I
think that's right.
It could be like Magilumiere, Magi Lumiere. I don't know. It is
that sounds good to me.
It is a story about magical girls being corporatized. And as someone who has kind of worked a corporate office job for the past, 8 years, is actually a really interesting take on a lot of kind of office dynamics and corporate, like inter-company dynamic stuff. In addition to being
this. Yeah.
In addition to being, I think, a really pretty decent story that is like getting better and better. There's like a lot of cool world building and lore drops in this. The art I think is fantastic. The magic is interesting in a weird way that I don't totally get. This is getting animated later this year. I think in fall. Like this is planned to air in October or maybe June or July. I don't know.
This is like a 10 out of 10 art style in my eyes. I love this. They look so good.
Yeah, the art style is something I really like. It really reminds me of Horikoshi, right? His art, it does. We praise a lot. The artist didn't have anything that I super recognized, but the writer of this is a person named Seka Iwata, who did the one-shot Pen Pal at the End of the World. Do you remember Pen Pal at the End of the World?
Yeah, I do. It was my favorite for at the time. Yeah, that
was like our favorite one-shot of like 2021, maybe. Like
it was very sweet.
Super sweet. Also about magical girls, by the way. So yeah, I like really, really recommend this series. This is on Manga Plus, on Jump Plus. Especially, I think, if you're an office worker, I think this is clearly coming from someone who has worked kind of in that big corporate dynamic stuff. Essentially, they're magical girls. The bad things. They're called Kai, in this. The Kai show up, and you have to like call a magical girl corporation to get a magical girl out there to eliminate the Kai for you. So there's a little bit of like, there's rivalry, there's development. The leader of Magilumiere is this guy who dresses like a magical girl, and he's like he's like developed their own like custom system to get rid of the Kai. Most people have all these like pre-programmed spells that they can just draw on, but the way that Magilumiere works is they like go in, assess the situation, and then tell their programmers like through communication of like what kind of spell they need, and the guys like on the fly develop the spell, and then the Magilumiere girls are like allowed to deploy it. And it's like,
I love that. Yeah.
It's cool. It's different. And the world building like keeps getting better. Like every new kind of twist and turn you get, they've talked about stuff about like, why are the Kai getting more powerful? Is it like related to how much magic the girls are using? If they use more magic, the Kai get more powerful, maybe ? So it's all tied together really interestingly. There's a lot of cool kind of political drama in the background around like the use of magical power as a resource, kind of treating it like energy, there's like a, there's a Japanese department of magical whatever stuff. So
that's great.
Yeah, it really does keep getting better and better. I thought originally I was like, oh yeah, cool. It's like office culture, magic girls. But then every time it's like revealed more and more about the world, more and more about the history and the characters. I've liked it more and more. I'm about halfway through. I think I'm like 47. This hit chapter 100. Usually when something hits chapter 100 and I'm a little bit interested in it and it gets an anime announced, I want to catch up on it so I can try to recommend it to people. So
I love how very obvious it is that the men are the supporting roles in this series.
And they absolutely
that's great. Like look, the guy in the back is literally a cheerleader.
He's the salesman of Magilumiere.
I love that. And the boss in the magical girl outfit. This is very, very cute looking. I like this.
It's very good. The art I think in it is exceptional. The artist does have very kind of Horikoshi style, really good at facial expressions. The girl on the left, who's the more like senior magical girl, she's very much the kind of like I don't even know how to describe it. Like she's the like sort of like sloppy, relaxed, go gung ho, go get him, think second, go action now type girl. And she's really good. All the characters are really great. I really, really, really recommend this series. I'll probably be done with it maybe by next week or the week after. I'll try to give more of a full take on it. But yeah, so that's what I've been doing, Gautam. Tell me what you've been doing.
I've been playing Persona 3 Reload. I've become quite a Persona fan. I would say if you are looking to get into Persona, definitely play Persona 5 Royal.
Yeah.
It is just the best version of Persona in all ways, in my opinion.
I saw a review for this game for Persona 3 Reload, and one of the detractors on it was not Persona 5. It's just like
a stupid review.
I was IGN or GameSpot or somebody. So yeah.
Yeah. That reviewer should not be making that. But either way, I think Persona 4 and Persona 3 have a lot to love. The social aspect, story, characters, visuals, they all look great. But the dungeons kind of fucking sucked in Persona 4. Mm-hmm. Especially
aren't the Persona 4 dungeons like randomly generated or something, or just like really repetitive or something? Yeah, I remember watching people play that game and I was like, they're
repetitive and randomly generated, but they all stick to the theme of the dungeon owner. Mm-hmm. Which at least it has that going for it. Persona 3 has one dungeon, and it's just like Mementos in Persona 5. It's like it's just the same thing over and over and over. And I don't think a normal gamer would be able to forgive those aspects of the game if they start with Persona 3 or Persona 4. But they can definitely forgive those aspects if they beat Persona 5 Royal and fall in love with
the style and
what makes the series good, right?
I can definitely get if you really like Persona, a lot of people I know who got into Persona 5 are now like playing or excited about Persona 3 and Persona 4, and they still like them. But I agree.
Me too. I like them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where I would have bounced off this game had I not played Persona 5 and
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or if I had played it when it came out in like 2004 or whenever Persona 3 came out. It's like
exactly.
Cool. I think that's all we've got this week. Thanks again for listening or watching, everybody. Hey, don't forget to leave us feedback, comments. Let us know your One Piece predictions. Let us know what you thought about Astral Baby. Let us know if you're playing Persona 3 Reload, or anything else there in the comments. We really like and appreciate those. Check out Twitter and Patreon, linked below if you're interested to support us or just have a little discussion. I think that's it. Thanks, everybody.
Sweet. Catch you later.
And don't forget to read more manga.